Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Rottama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Umagnaanatimirandasya gnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shurivadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Canto 3, Chapter 28. Kapila's instructions on the execution of devotional service. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Yogikasya lakshanam vakshye sabijasya nripatmaje mano yenaiva vidina prasannam yati satpatham. Person of God had said, My dear mother, O daughter of the king, now I shall explain to you the system of yoga, the object of which is to concentrate the mind. By practicing this system, one can become joyful and progressively advance towards the path of the absolute truth. Satpatham, path of the absolute truth. Prasannam, joyful. The yoga process explained by Lord Kapiladev in this chapter is authorized and standard, and therefore these instructions should be followed very carefully. To begin, the Lord says that by yoga practice one can make progress towards understanding the absolute truth, Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the previous chapter, it has been clearly stated that the desired result of yoga is not to achieve some wonderful mystic power. One should not be at all attracted by such mystic power, but should attain progressive realization on the path of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, which states in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham adgaten antaratmanam. Greatest yogi is he who constantly thinks of Krishna within himself, or he who is Krishna conscious. So important thing here is one should attain progressive realization. One should constantly think of Krishna within oneself. What does this progressive realization mean? Anybody wants to share? What is progressive realization?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, we should not rush to certain things which are not to our level. We should progressively try to understand according to.
Okay. Okay, that's emphasis on progressive. Okay. What else? Okay, so first
Okay,
thing,
Prabhu,
yeah,
is
Hare
it
Krishna.
from Anartha Nivritti to
Okay, okay,
the
yeah,
towards the Shuddha Bhakti?
yeah, okay, towards Krishna Prema. Okay,
Krishna.
so the first thing is that we have to, so two things to note here. One is that there has to be realization. Can somebody explain what is realization? I've explained all this before, but we keep forgetting. What is realization? What is self-realization?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, the first
Hare
step
Krishna.
is to realize that you're not the body and you're the soul.
Yeah, so what does that realization mean?
That there is a supreme personality above. Just that is the first step of realization.
No, okay, let me clarify. So there is information and then there is realization, right? This thing that I am the body, I am not the body, I am soul, the supreme person. This is knowledge. I want to understand what is realization.
Pranam Prabhuji, when
Yeah.
you act on that basis, like Gyan is converted to Vigyan, when you have the knowledge and you practically apply it, like that is
Okay,
realized.
slightly fine. Can you fine tune it? Yes, it is in the right direction. Slight fine tuning of your answer. Yeah, so first thing Mataji is saying is that knowledge has to be applied. So we have to act on the platform of knowledge. Okay, so I'm not the body, I'm spirit soul. So which means what are the activities of spirit soul? Okay, I need to be doing that. That is the first step towards realization. When you apply that knowledge, what happens? When you apply that knowledge, realization happens. Meaning, realization simply means we experience the truth. That is realization. Mm. When we follow the instructions that, okay, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. So as a spirit soul, I have to engage in bhakti. I realize, I come to the point of experiencing the fact that I'm not the body. So that is realization. So first is just knowledge, knowing that, okay, I am not the body. Second is actually experiencing the fact that I'm not the body, that I'm spirit soul, and everything that comes along with that. So first thing is we have to have realizations in bhakti, and preaching actually means sharing realizations. So when we preach, we actually share our realizations. Something that we have heard and we have applied in our life and we have experienced the knowledge. That is realization. The first is one has to have realization. And the second thing is it's not like a one-time thingy. There is progressive realization. Like Shruti Mataji said, that there is higher stages of realization. The first stage of realization is Brahma Bhuta, saying that I am not this body, I am spiritual. Then there are higher stages of realization up to Krishna Prema. So first thing is we have to, so bhakti actually means that we are progressing. This is the first thing. We are progressing and we are experiencing progressive realizations, meaning we are making progress. We are in International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Prabhupada calls this Krishna conscious movement, which means that we have to keep moving. So we have to remember that we cannot remain stagnant in bhakti. By following the path of bhakti yoga, we will make progress and we will have progressive realizations also. Everybody will have. Is that just that we won't know whether this is realization or not? Simply Whatever knowledge we've heard, if when we experience it partly fully, that is realization. And statements like this should make us think. We have to reach the stage of constantly thinking about Krishna. Constantly means all the time, not just when he is awake. A pure devotee thinks about Krishna 24/7, 365 days, etc., etc. He constantly thinks of Krishna within himself. Such a person is the greatest yogi, who is fully Krishna conscious, all the time Krishna conscious. And this is our goal. That's why in this verse translation it says, object of yoga is to concentrate the mind. Actually, we can say we are also in yoga. With what? We are in material yoga. Meaning we are in yoga with material things, with material happiness. Even without any effort, our mind concentrates on material things. Unfortunately, that material yoga is not going to take us out of this material world. It's going to drown us further in this material world, deeper, deeper, deeper. So that concentration of mind that we have on material things has to be transferred or moved from material to Krishna. It cannot be that can we concentrate on two things at the same time? We can't concentrate on two things at the same time. We can only concentrate on one thing at a time. Either we can think about Krishna or we can think about Maya. So we have to understand that we have to make progress towards this stage. And every day is an endeavor we are putting towards this. It is stated here that by following the system of yoga, one can become joyful. No. There's a difference between this joy and a semblance of joy. Semblance of joy means it actually looks like transcendental spiritual happiness, but it's actually material happiness. So when we do pure bhakti, what the jiva experiences as a result of doing that bhakti is bliss, this joy, right? When we do bhakti abhasa, when we do something which looks like bhakti but which is not bhakti, what we experience looks like ananda, but it is perverted reflection. It's like material ananda. We're just experiencing material happiness. And we should not misunderstand that material happiness to be the happiness of the soul. For example, initially when we come into Krishna consciousness, we are doing things just like the way we want. Whatever, right? No rules, no regulations. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. We do all kinds of stuff. For example, I remember I used to do, one is, like going and just buying whatever is there in whatever books I used to see, I used to buy. Right? While it might seem spiritual, it's not spiritual. It's mundane because I had a propensity to spend money. I thought, let me spend money on Krishna's books. So it was mundane, but it was giving me happiness. Because really, I was not even qualified to read half of those books that time. Right? Or just going and buying whatever is there in Govindas. Yeah, we get happiness. But that's not really spiritual, because spiritual happiness is when we do anything only for the pleasure of the Lord. Then whatever happiness we experience is spiritual happiness. Most of the times we end up doing things for our own happiness, And of course, we get happiness, but that's not really spiritual happiness. That's just perverted because it's targeted towards us. But one who does pure bhakti just for the pleasure of the Lord actually experiences happiness. That bliss, there's no comparison to that bliss. So by following the system of yoga, one actually becomes joyful. Like tomorrow is Sri Ramanavami, and the whole of Ramayana. I was just hearing one lecture by my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. He was just saying that the whole of Ramayana is actually Prabhupada said this. The whole of Ramayana is actually sorrow, sadness. But he said, no, still it is transcendental bliss. Anyway, so this thing we cannot very easily understand. But when we suffer for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, that is real happiness. When we struggle to please them, when we go out of our comfort zone, in spite of repeated failures, we continue to try. Continue to try and follow instructions, even though we are not able to. That is the happiness that we experience, even though it might be distress, but actually that is real happiness. That is real happiness because we are not doing anything for ourselves. All of Ramayana, we actually see this. Rama is doing for the pleasure of Dasharatha. Sita is doing for the pleasure of Rama. Lakshmana is doing for the pleasure of Rama and Sita. Like that. Nobody is doing for themselves, including Lord Ram. So even though there is distress, actually it is real happiness. Somebody was saying, so I've stopped eating outside food. Previously, the devotee was eating sattvic food outside, whatever that means, right? And then he said, like, I stopped eating and I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling happy that I'm able to follow that. And that's happiness. While if you actually look at it and say, oh, no, see, you stopped eating outside, you lost happiness. No, because he just lost material happiness. But actually, he got spiritual happiness by following the instructions of Krishna. So like that, if you actually follow the system of yoga, whatever might seem as distress is actually real happiness if you realize it. We are just feeling distress because our consciousness is still material. The whole of Krishna Leela, the topmost devotees of Krishna, the gopis, they're always in distress. They're always in distress. One might ask saying that what is this? Ramayana is full of distress. Krishna Leela is full of distress. Why should one do actually bhakti at all? If this is what we are going to get eventually. But that distress is really bliss. Anyway, that's a very deep topic. Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, who is the highest authority in on yoga, here explains the yoga system known as Ashtanga Yoga, which comprises 8 different practices, namely Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. By all these stages of practice, one must realize Lord Vishnu, who is the target of all yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga is also a process of Bhakti Yoga. Process is slightly different, but it is finally to achieve Vishnu or Krishna. There are so-called yoga practices in which one concentrates the mind on voidness or on the impersonal, but this is not approved by the authorized yoga system as explained by Kapiladev. Even Patanjali explains that the target of all yoga is Vishnu. Just because people don't understand this or don't want this, they've just given up the whole process and only taken asana pranayama. That's all. They've dropped yama niyama also, rules, regulations also dropped. Then, yeah, again, all these pratyahara, All of them will drop. Just asana, little pranayama. But that's not, unfortunately, that's not Patanjali school of yoga. Ashtanga yoga is therefore part of Vaishnava practice because its ultimate goal is realization of Vishnu. The achievement of success in yoga is not acquisition of mystic power, which is condemned in the previous chapter, but rather freedom from all material designations and situation in one's constitutional position. We have to be situated in our constitutional position as servants. We are servants of Krishna, we are servants of every jiva. That's our constitutional position. Means every jiva is Amsha of Krishna. So I'm a servant of every jiva. That is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave in his Sikshastakam the core instruction for all devotees willing to make progress. Krinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishruna manena manadena. Because this is the actual position of a servant. This is just describing the position of a servant. So if we can't live this verse in our life, how can we become servants? If we don't become servants, if we continue to remain masters, then what is our destination? Material world. So every moment of our life, we should try to live in this mood of being a servant. So we should, actually it seems crazy, but if we are having to deal with difficult relations, people are snubbing us, people are pushing us down, ill-treating us, we're actually in our constitutional position of being a servant. Now we can't understand this because we'll say, no, how can that person do this? It's unfair. But a servant's position is like that. That is why the last verse of Shikshastakam, it's actually the mood of Radharani. Ashlishyava padaratam pinashtumam adarshanam admahatam karatva yata tata va vidadhatu lampato mat prananatastu seva napadha. Actually, it's the mood of Radharani. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that you kick me, you embrace me, or you kick me, you do whatever you want. You are the master of my life. We can't say that I will only achieve this position with respect to Krishna and not with anybody else. Other jivas, no. We can't become a servant of Krishna without becoming servant of Vaishnavas. Without being servant of every jiva. We can't become servant of Krishna. Because all jivas are part of Krishna. So we have to realize this one instruction, if we can't remember anything, any other instruction, doesn't matter. If you can remember just this one instruction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Pranadapi Sunichena, we will achieve perfection. Because after that, what happens? We'll all be on auto mode, meaning we'll just make tremendous progress in bhakti. And then Krishna will dadami buddhi yogam tam, he will give us intelligence. We will move towards him very briskly, very fast manner. But till we are able to come to this stage is a big struggle. It's a big struggle. We have to give up our false ego. That we are something. We have to come to understanding I am nothing. If I were even something, I wouldn't have been in this material world. I would have been in the spiritual world. So the very fact that I'm here means I'm nothing. Useless jiva who is rebelled against the Lord. And what position, what status can I claim? Except being a dushkruti. I did a wrong thing. That's all my status is. But still we have so much of false ego. So see, these statements are all like, that's why I keep saying that, Prabhupada's statements, we have to just meditate. Situation in one's constitutional position, freedom from material designations. I am this, I am that on the material platform. I'm father, I'm owner, I'm mother. I am you're working for me, you're my servant. All these are upadhis. If you don't become free from these upadhis, then we can't be situated in our constitutional position. That is the ultimate achievement in yoga. So really, the practice of yoga is not for those 2 hours that we do chanting, or that 15-20 minutes, half an hour that we are able to read or hear. That is not real yoga. Meaning that is that whether that we are doing that, whether we are making good use of the 2.5 hours or not, will reflect in terms of how we are spending the rest of our day. What is our consciousness? So we shouldn't be happy just thinking, okay, I am doing 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours bhakti. The remaining hours in the day, what mindset am I living in? Is it that of a devotee? If so, then my sadhana is actually helping me. If not, then we have to raise the quality of our sadhana. And the central piece of sadhana is chanting. And to be able to do good chanting, we have to do good hearing. To be able to do all this, we have to be in the association of good devotees, meaning progressive devotees. And that's the heart of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so simple purport, some very powerful points. Okay, so I'll stop here if anybody has any questions, comments. Okay, no comments.
Prabhuji, I was thinking that progressive realization, could it mean that the 3 steps of realizing Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabditi?
Yeah, but for devotees who have come to Krishna directly, all that will happen automatically at some stage. We don't have to worry about that. For us, it is actually about going towards Krishna, right? So after Brahma Bhuta, when we can say I have realized Brahman, I've realized Paramatma, but for us, we don't actually experience separate stages like that. Because
Yes.
Brahman and Paramatma realization are part of Bhagavan realization. So it's built in.
Right. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing else will close. Bhagavatam. Okay, tomorrow we may not have class because I'm sure world over the senior devotees, Vaishnavas, Maharaj, etc. They'll be giving classes. I'll encourage all of you to hear somewhere. So we'll not have class tomorrow. We'll meet day after. Okay. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna,
Dandavat
Dandavat
Pranam.
Pranam.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण
Hare
प्रभु जी।
Krishna.